Oh man. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Since the holidays, I figure we give some stuff out. At the beginning of this video, we are at 151 subscribers. So when we get to 175, if you are the 175th subscriber, I will send you this SBC t-shirt in your size. All right. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so for your chance to win a t-shirt. So anyways, today we're going to continue on this engine reassembly. In the last video, we got the cush drive back in, the crank, new crank seal, and we also got that gear stack over there figured out. So today we'll go ahead and put that back in. All right, let's do it. Okay, so we got the gear stack here. Go ahead and put it back in the case. Now when you do this, make sure these gears line up with the cush driver when you're pulling it in. So do it nice and slow. When you feel any binding, stop, readjust until it's again smooth going in, and then yeah, get it all the way in there, because if you don't, you won't be able to close the case back up. So anyways, I'm using my crank puller. This is also from Scooter Mercado. It comes with different ends to pull the crank, and you can also pull this lay shaft. I believe it's this big one. And SIP also sells a expansion pack, so you can pull all kinds of different stuff. You can also get that through Scooter Mercado. All right, so I got the gear stack in. I'll put this tool on the other side, throw that on. There you go. Sleeve on. All right, that's that. My two crescent wrenches. I'm going to pivot it like this. Put this one on. Have it sit there. And then I'll turn this. Again, you want to watch these gears here. Make sure nothing's binding. And just keep spinning it while you're tightening it so that nothing binds up while you're pulling it in to the case. Okay, that's it. Alright, let's get this tip off. There we go. Okay, as you can see, I've got the gear stack back in, and it's spinning nice and free. So yeah, that's good to go. Okay, so up next we are going to take the Kickstart off and remove the Kickstart shaft. There is an O-ring inside here that I usually replace, and hopefully I have it. So yeah, let's get that done. I believe that's a 13mm nut. Grab that. Okay, 13mm nut. Remove that. Tap the bolt out. Kickstart lever should just come right off. And if not, you gotta separate it here a little bit. Come on. Okay. Put that aside. So, Kickstart spring. You can grab yourself a pair of pliers to get it off. You kind of just have to spin it until it comes off that hook there. I can do this with my hands. So, yeah. That's how that comes off. And then after that, pull the shaft out. So, if you look in there, there's an O-ring that needs to be replaced. Hopefully I have it. So, let me try to pick that out real quick. Okay, so looking at this gasket kit, I believe that's the O-ring right there. I'll go and pick out the old one. And we'll replace it. Yep, that's it. Get that O-ring out of this package. Okay, you guys just have to wiggle it all the way down there until it gets into the groove. Yeah, that's the same one. Okay, there you go. Just have to work it in that back into that groove, and then you put the Kickstart shaft back in. Let me wipe this off real quick. Oh, right here. Actually, I'll put some oil in here before I put it back in. Let me see. Oh, right here. Okay. Get this gunk out of here real quick. So it looks like they replaced these little Kickstart buffers already, so I'm not going to do that. But usually if you pull apart a case that's like 20 years old, these are pretty much disintegrated. So replace these if you see that they're all messed up. So yeah, you put the Kickstart shaft back in. I'll put the spring back in. See the little hole right there? That's where this part goes in, like that. And then again, I'm going to turn this with my hands until this goes into that little notch. Okay, it's like that. So there you go. Now it's ready to be mated up with the other side. Alright, so before I try to connect the cases back together, I'll put the kickstand on because it actually helps me as far as lining stuff up. So same way you took it off. Just see these teeth here match up with these grooves here. Just slide it back on like that. Bolt on this side. Washer and lock washer. And nut. There you go. Okay, before I get the case back together, you have to put a gasket in between. And this comes from the set. I just use a thin layer of grease on both sides, and I kind of just put it in. And I never really had any issues. Other people use the former gasket stuff, gasket maker, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they all work fine. Like I said, this is what I do. I haven't had any issues, so that's the way I'm gonna do it. All right, so usually you replace the Kickstart gear when you open the case, but this one seems to be in pretty good shape, so I'll reuse it. And you put that in like this. Okay. On the other case half, spring goes right there. So I'll put a little glob of grease there so it holds it in place. That. Okay. Now we can work the case house back together. All right. I'm sure you noticed that in the last video I cleaned the case house, so it should be nice and clean now. Any issues? So I'm gonna look in here and make sure that spring is where it's supposed to go, and it is. And I'll move the Kickstart around. As I mentioned before, that it makes it easier. Okay. So you see why I had to put the Kickstart back on, because as soon as I turned it, it allowed me to get the case house back together. So let's give it a couple little taps. That should do it. You can see I'm using the Kickstart, make sure nothing's binded up. And it's actually reset it properly and actually let it up. So yeah, that's good. Now I will bolt the case house together, and we should be good to go. Oh, also make sure the crank is spinning freely, which it is. So yeah, that's good. Okay, so I gave all the hardware a good once over with some brake clean. Also ran the threads through my wire wheel. These wave washers look a little tired, so I'm probably going to replace them with the actual flat washer and a lock washer. So yeah, I'll go and do that. If you're wondering where to get this stuff, Lowe's or Home Depot actually sells big packs of M7 washers and lock washers. If you can't get it at Home Depot, Ace Hardware is your place to go. They actually have a lot of hardware for these bikes. So these are 11 millimeters. You see, I put new washers and lock washers on. So yeah, I'll get the rest of the hardware on, and we'll torque it all down. Okay, so I've got all the hardware on. Again, these are 11 millimeter. I will go ahead and snug these down a little bit with my little impact wrench. Alright, so the case nuts are supposed to be between 15 and 17 Newton meters. I'll do 16. Again, I'm going to start from the inside out, going diagonal. I do it in 2 steps. Okay, there you go. All torqued down. Again, make sure everything's still smooth. Make sure the crank's not binded up. That's it. Now we'll get the piston back on and also the cylinder. All right, we got the piston here. I went ahead and cleaned out the grooves where the circlips rest, both sides. I'll go ahead and put one circlip in. Make sure the circlip is in the groove. Very important, because if it pops out, it'll ruin your cylinder. So that's good. I got the wrist pin bearing here. Put some two-stroke oil in this. I'll put this in the rod like that. So on every piston, well, almost every piston, you'll see an arrow. That arrow always points towards the exhaust. Now, if you have a piston that says IN on it, that means intake. That means the intake side will point towards the intake. On this motor, the exhaust is down. Say if it's a small frame, the exhaust is actually pointing up. So, again, arrow towards the exhaust, or intake towards the intake, or IN towards the intake. So, line that up as best I can. See if I can get this in one shot. There you go. You push this in with your fingers usually, like that. Alright, so that's as far as I can get the wrist pin in with my finger. I did go ahead and buy this fancy piston pin puller tool because Mike Hayden said so. I've never actually used one of these, but it looks pretty easy to figure out. It comes with different wrist pin stoppers. I guess I'll just use the smallest one for this one. So this I threaded this in all the way, so it actually goes all the way through the piston. And then on the other side, I'll put on the stop. And this is actually a reverse thread. Yep. Start backing it out. There. And then this is a 14mm socket. And as you can see, it's pulling the wrist pin all the way in. I'll pull it. I'll just bottom it out on the circlip on that side, and that's it. Pretty neat tool, Mike Hayden's. Thanks for the recommendation. Okay, now I'll put the circlip on the other side, and then we'll be done. Again, make sure the circlip is in the groove, not just in the opening. Okay, that looks good. All right, there it is. Cool. All right, so I'm getting ready to put the cylinder back on. I'm going to reuse the cylinder base gasket. So as you can see, I put a thin layer of this red RTV gasket maker stuff on both sides. You probably don't have to, but you know, for my peace of mind, I do. Yeah, I got that done. So here's the cylinder. Usually before I install one of these, if it's brand new, I check to make sure the ports have been chamfered. This one seems to have already been chamfered or came like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, the reason I do that is because if it's a razor sharp edge on the port, it catches the piston rings, leading to premature wear. So yeah, like I said, this one's already been chamfered, so I'll go ahead and put that back in, or back on. So on the piston itself, there's 2 pins, and there's a pin right there coming out of it, and that's where the ring gap will sit. The pin right in between the ring gap. So there, and there's also one on this side. Right there, you can see it. Right there. So, before I slide the piston back on, I like to coat it with some 2-stroke oil. That. Again, on a large frame motor, the exhaust point is down. That's the exhaust port. So we're going to try to line the ring gap with that pin that's sticking out of the piston. I believe it's right there. Right there. So let me try to do this as best I can. Okay. That's one. And then now to the other one. Pins right there. Two. I can slide it all the way on. Just like that. Well, the clutch is not in, so I can't test the piston travel with the Kickstarter, so we'll do it manually. Yep, nothing snagging. Okay, this should be good to go. Cool. All right. Now I'll put the cylinder head back on. Okay, as you can see, I've got a thin layer of this red RTV silicone gasket maker on the cylinder head here. Again, you probably don't need it, but I do it for my peace of mind. But yeah, that's good. All I'm gonna do is slap this back on there like this. Okay. And it's a nut. I'm sorry, a washer and a lock washer and a nut on each one of these studs. Forgot to mention, make sure the spark plug hole is pointing upwards like that when you put this on, because it can go in 4 different positions. Snug it with this 11mm socket. Oh, too tight. Okay. All Alright, now that I've got the nuts snugged on to the cylinder head, I'll go ahead and torque them down. Torque spec on this is 15 to 18 Newton meters. So I'll just do 17. Do it in 2 steps. Just so I don't warp the head. Maybe 3 steps. Okay. 17, 17, 17, 17. All right. There you go. Okay, now that I've got the cylinder and the head all bolted back together, we'll go ahead and work on the clutch and the auto lube stuff. So I'll just put it back in the reverse order that I removed it. Starting with the pump drive gear, or whatever you call this thing. So the first thing is the washer. Goes there, and then the actual drive. And then another washer on the outside. Like that. Alright, then I got this little circlip that goes over it. That's it. Okay. I'll put a Woodruff key in here onto the crank. And I'll slide the oil pump drive gear over the crank. So you see I put a napkin here because there's openings in the case. So if you drop any of these little parts in there, you got to take the motor apart again. So yeah, it's a good idea that you try to stuff these holes so that nothing drops in there. So here's the oil pump drive gear. It's beveled on one side, flat on the other. So the bevel side goes in. And it lines up with that Woodruff key. Like that. And of course you want to go, let's see. You line this up, it goes all the way in, like that. Alexa, turn on garage light.
Okay.
Okay, after that we can put the clutch on. So, as I mentioned in a previous video, this is actually an upgraded clutch. Some SIP super strong thing. So, as you can see, the clutch basket is actually welded. So, yeah, hopefully we don't get an expanded clutch basket again. So, you'll see there's a notch here. Make sure the Woodruff key goes in the notch. So, I'll try to line it up as best I can. That. Okay. Next, a little locking ring goes on. See the little notch there and a little tab there. Make sure that's lined up. Tap this one in with a socket. Like that. And the clutch nut. There, and we'll grab the tools to lock this thing in place, the clutch in place, and then we can tighten it. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got the clutch holder tool here. M6 bolt on one of these clutch cover bolt holes. I guess I'll hook this side in here. That way I can tighten this nut. The clutch locked in place. Come on. There you go. Alright, I'll get my torque wrench. We'll torque that down. Alright, so the clutch nut is supposed to be torqued between 39 and 44 Newton meters, I think. So I'll just do like 42. Alright, there you go. So you can see there's notches in there. I might have to go a little more actually because none of them line up. Okay. Maybe a little more. A little more. Okay. Now I can actually knock these little locking tabs into the little notch on the clutch nut to lock it in place. Alright, so I had these other oil pump drive parts that I went ahead and put back in. This one goes here. This one goes here. Oh, that's not all the way in. There. Okay. Now the clutch is actually in. I can actually use the Kickstart. And I'll actually turn the piston. So everything seems to be working okay. Nothing binding. So yeah, guys, that's all the time I have for this thing tonight. Again, don't forget, the 175th subscriber will win that t-shirt. So yeah, if you haven't, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I'll catch you all next time.